friends, welcome back. Happy Wednesday. Today is June 4th. My name's Ryan Selvy, and this is File New. File New is your best source of creator news, design news, art news, everything to keep you up to date in the ever-changing world of the design world. We're here on Adobe Live, so we've got a bunch of Adobe Live and Adobe News for you today, but we also have a bunch of other social media updates, some cool design expertise, and some great font of the week. If this is your first time here, welcome on in. Hello to everyone over on YouTube. Hello to everyone over on Behance. We'll have a bunch of polls for you guys. Oliver is also saying Ryan news. Wade's asking about fake news. Yes to Ryan news, no to Wade news. And welcome back to Brooklyn, Alyssa. I'm also back in Brooklyn. Great to have you guys here. Got a lot planned for you today. All the links for today's show and previous shows and upcoming shows, except not really, are all available on the Raindrop, which is available in the description. Wade was also nice enough to copy and paste it into the chat with my little emojis that have the little link and the rain. So it'll be easy to find. But also, if you guys have stories and other things that are coming up throughout the week that you want to talk about or you want to have featured on the show, by all means, please put it in the Discord. The Discord is the Adobe Live Discord. It is available to all, and it's just under the File New channel. But without further ado, let's go and hop into some news. So like I said, we got some Adobe news to start off the hour. Photoshop arrived on Android yesterday, and if you are an Android user, you're probably aware that it came out on iPhone a few weeks ago, maybe even months ago, and Android was not part of the mix yet, but fortunately now it is on Android. And so as you guys know, Android has a lot more devices than iPhone and iOS does, so there is that, way larger of a net to catch for Android apps than there are for iOS apps. That said, it is in beta still, so it is something that is, actively rolling out. It seems really cool that it is finally accessible to pretty much all mainstream apps and all phones. There is a quote on the blog that says, as someone constantly on the move and always exploring new and different creative ideas, Photoshop Mobile has become an essential part of my everyday life as a creator. I can quickly edit content thumbnails, design overlays, create totally unique gaming content, and more, all from my phone, wherever I am and wherever I'm inspired. That's coming from Kiara Hinson, known as Chiarotonin, over on the blog. You can read all about it. You can read some of the mobile features and capabilities, like combining and blending images, quickly removing and replacing parts of an image, brushing away distractions, using Firefly, enhancing creative work with growing library of free Adobe stock assets, refine images with advanced tools like removing clone stamp. So a lot of on-the-go quick edits. There's easy, accessible tutorials for you already, and it is available to everyone in the store, so go ahead and check it out. And it is now on both Android and on iPhone as well. So I'd love to see what you guys end up creating with it. If you're someone who ends up working a lot on your phone, or if you're a big screen maximalist like myself, I'm going to try to learn more about getting more into mobile editing. But I'm interested to see how you guys interact with it and what you guys create. Of course, you can always share those in the Discord, either in the File New Discord channel or just the general Discord channel as well. Based in Pixels, which is an active user over on the Discord, good to see you, says, I love Photoshop Express. I use it for every pic I edit. I prefer my phone. Oh, okay, good to know. Well, this is even going to speed up. This is even different from Adobe Express. This is its own new Photoshop thing, and now it's for you to use. Apurva is also in the chat. Welcome on in. We're just going through the top news stories of the week. We just started off with the Android one. But next one is we have an update for Instagram, and it is coming straight from the the CEO of Instagram, which is Adam Mosseri. And he says, Instagram now supports 3:4 aspect ratio photos, the format that almost every phone camera defaults to. From now on, if you upload a 3:4 image, it'll now appear just exactly as you shot it, which is exciting. It's important because, as you know, bigger is better. The more real estate that you take up on a social feed, the more engagement it gets and the more attention grabbing it is. 3:4 is a little bit bigger than what it had been defaulting to before. And now when you are designing things, you should take that into mind, whether you make that directly like, 300 by 400, or if you do math really well and you do 900 by 1200. That way you can get the most real estate as you can. And there are a bunch of updates and stories about this, but more or less think about those phones when you're creating your content. Similarly, this is reporting coming from The Verge, and this is from Jay Peters at The Verge. It says, Twitch is now getting vertical live streams. Traditionally, Twitch has always been a horizontal streaming platform. A lot of people are absorbing content on their computers, and they're watching video game live streams, but Twitch is beginning to experiment with an idea of vertical live streams. A few years ago, they came out with a stories competitor or a stories feature where you could upload vertical videos. When you're doing replays even for Twitch, they have, like, if you're gaining a clip, it'll not only take and give you the horizontal version, but it has this really cool functionality that gives you vertical editing as well. So it has you edit both at the same time because they know that people are interacting with it on their phones as well as on their computers, and they want to have the best experience for whoever's watching it. This is just another step towards, I guess, taking on TikTok live streaming, YouTube live streaming, Instagram live streaming. Although I don't know if YouTube has vertical. I definitely know Instagram and TikTok have vertical live streaming, but I don't know if YouTube does. It'll be interesting to see. I don't personally really watch a lot of Twitch on my phone. I do watch Twitch on my computer. I guess if I'm doing the dishes, sometimes I'll pull it up. But even then, I like to kind of like flip it. It would be a lot for me to sit on the couch and pull up Twitch. It wouldn't be where I would go first. Bruce is saying hello from Behance and YouTube chats. Good to have you here, Bruce. Thanks for chiming on in. And Alyssa says, dare I say it's about time. Do you think that, Alyssa, are you a big Twitch watcher yourself? Do you tend finding your own content on there? Or because I know it's more than video games, but I know video games is one of the biggest things that are going. And then, of course, there is Adobe, which is creative, which is always growing and being there. So make sure if you are on Twitch, you hop over to twitch.com/Adobe. Wade says, I'm already exhausted from it. All right, so let's give you a little bit more happier news. There's a Frida Kahlo museum honoring the artist's family life to open in Mexico City, and this is coming from Regina Sienra over at My Modern Met. And this is obviously a physical thing, so you can only really go visit it if you are physically near Mexico City. But every year, this is coming straight from the article, it says thousands of art lovers flock to La Casa Azul, which is her famously blue house, which is now the Frida Kahlo Museum in Mexico City, eager to immerse themselves to the world of the Mexican painter. Their visitors have long been able to explore her paintings, art tools, and correspondence with her husband, Diego Rivera, who is also very famous. Aiming to showcase the human being behind the history-making artist, a new museum devoted to Kahlo's family life will open in Mexican capital later this year. It'll be located at Casa Roja, which is a red house, a family home that belonged to Kahlo's parents, and the painter later purchased it from them so her sister Cristina could raise her family there. It was later passed down, stayed in the family, and now is going to be available for the public. It is interesting to kind of juggle this relationship of Frida Kahlo's work as an experience when I know a lot of her personal preference and her desire was not to be so public facing and so out there. She was very private in that matter, but she did contribute so much to the world of art, and she's beloved, and people want to go experience it. So it is interesting to see the dichotomy of intent there, but would be very fun to see. There was a touring Frida Kahlo exhibition that came to the Brooklyn Museum a few years ago, and I went, and it was great. Welcome to Kendall into the Behance chat. It's great to have you. And actually, since we're talking about the relationship between the two of if you would go see a Frida Kahlo exhibit or not, I'm going to go ahead and put in a poll before we get into other polls that I said, would you go to the new Frida Kahlo Museum if you had the chance? I'm going to start a poll. And if you're over on Behance, make sure you guys go hop over to vote on that on the YouTube chat. And I will be ending it not too far from now, because then when we hop over to Font of the Week, we will then hop into it. Our last piece of news story for this week is an update about this new service called Soot. And I wasn't sure whether or not I should include this as a hyperlink, which is another segment that we have on the show, or if I should keep it as a news one. But the thing about Soot is that it's not really open yet to the public. And this is a reporting that's coming on from Mark Wilson. Soot is this new service that has venture capital behind it, but it is interesting approach to UI UX to websites and images. So think like Behance, think Pinterest, think, I don't know, Instagram. Think of all the different things you have. And rather than having it in a vertical and horizontal scrolling feed, it's this very interactive, bizarrely controllable like web, I guess you could say. And you can zoom in, you can zoom out. It actually reminded me a lot of the fantasy UI from the movie Her, if you ever saw that. And of course, with any of these, you can zoom in, and as you zoom into it and you click onto them, you can see exactly where they come from with the name. You can explore the space where it comes from. You can see similar ones. This one has 354 objects. You can go, let's see if we can find like something like this. This is from, we can explore this space, and then it will go and it'll actually like continue to then resort and reimagine the organization of things. And so you can have private and public ones. And then you can also always decide if you want them to be organized by similarity, if you want them to be by color, by year. You can also do by name for some of them, but in this case, you know, these are all different year ones. And then you can explore it, and it's a way of just interacting with space and object in a new way that isn't the generic UI UX experience that we have. The article is a really good write-up if you have a chance to read it, and it just talks about how we are maybe reinventing, reimagining the way that we interact with the web, and also how you get inspired. He starts off the article by talking about his daughter who gets ready and just like splatters everything everywhere before she starts to create, and it gives her an idea of to like be able to pick from here and be able to pick from there, and get inspiration. They have $7.7 million in funding, so it's definitely has some development money to build, and it's not open to the public yet. You can go and you can put your email in there to get a private invite, hopefully soon. I did that myself, but I have not gotten an invite in time. And it's just an interesting way. You know, it might go nowhere. It might go somewhere. And I think it's just kind of fun to interact with media in a different way that isn't necessarily your conventional vertical and horizontal. Kendall's saying a bit too cluttered for me, probably. And Kendall's also saying the Infinity Canvas seems interesting. Lindsay Taylor says this is neat. Bruce is getting some popcorn. Wade is shrugging it off. And yeah, no, I don't necessarily think it's organization in the same way that you would maybe do it in a Pinterest board or Behance board, but more so kind of like a fluid inspiration to go from place to place and see how also the algorithms sort it, because it does have linking to an AI organizational tool of sorts. That's how it's kind of like immediately organizing things and putting things in with similarity visually, if you're not doing something like name or year. But something interesting to explore. All right, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to close out this poll, though. Thank you guys for voting. It looks like 75% of you would go to the new Frida Kahlo Museum if you had the chance, with 25% of you said, nah, not into it. But don't worry, we got plenty of stuff for you to vote on, because we are going to move over to the Font of the Week. And Font of the Week is the weekly segment where we look through 3 different typefaces that are available on Adobe fonts, and we vote on them. So this week we have 3 different typefaces: Haboro, Urbane, and Rama Slab. So I'm going to go up, and I always say this every single time: do not vote too early, because if you vote too early, you might regret it. And I think you actually can undo your vote if you want to, but that makes things more complicated. So I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to put the 3 in the polls right now, and we're going to explore these 3, and we're going to talk a little bit about them. So let's take the time to first look into Haboro. It says that it is designed by Jeremy Dooley. It is from Insignia Design and is a neoclassical font developed for numerous uses. It is ranging from editorial and corporate to web pages and apps. And it is a modern twist on the high contrast typeface genre known as Didone. It is a slight wedge-shaped serif and has whimsical terminals that can also be simplified in the open type alternatives. You guys know that we love that open type alternate segment. And then it has 7 weights from thin to black along with italics. We're going to change this over here to File New because we like to be selfish like that. Right away, the end of the E seems a little bit weird. It might be something that's in my things. It's on metrics. We're going to do optical instead. And then I always like to, on the show, go to window and open up our glyphs to look at all the different stuff that we have. The Q is cool. It's got some symbols for us. These are all pretty basic. And then down at the bottom, we have some fractions and some, looks like small caps, which is nice. We talked a little bit about small caps last week. And we also have some ligatures and connected letters, some accents for other languages, you name it. So yeah, it feels pretty strong. This is what it looks like in the book version. You can go all the way down to like extended light, thin. You can go all the way up to normal black, which gives it way more of differing weights between some of the letter forms. And then you can also do condensed if you want to. But the condensed doesn't feel that condensed to me. It feels a little condensed, but nothing kind of that crazy. Bree says, I love the fonts, which is great. That's always good. It's always nice to be able to find ones that you can add to the ones that you float through whenever you end up work. Some artists like to use the same typefaces over and over again. Some others like to find other ones over and over and over for each new project, which sounds absolutely terrifying, but also something that I feel like I end up doing. So it'd be interesting to hear if you guys stick to the same typefaces or not, or if you use the ones that are on the show and work with that catalog. Next up, we have a sans serif font designed by Ryan Hughes, but Ryan is spelled with an I, so shout out to that, Ryan. R-I-A-N Hughes, and it's from Device Fonts. It is a versatile, all-purpose sans serif family. Sans serif means there are no serifs on it. The serifs are little things that flare out from the letters. It is a geometric modern sans. It has 6 weights plus italics. It explores the same idea space as early geometric modernist sans, such as Futura, Urbane, Spartan, and Elegant Sans, with a single story, a contemporary high X height, and very slightly condensed bowls. It is perfect for headlines and running text. It is clear, classic, and authoritative. As with everything else, we're going to go to File New. I particularly like the roundness of the E. I like the clarity that it provides. You can obviously put this extremely small, and it will still be very, very easy to read. You can see how tiny that can get. But you can also make an impact by making it really big, putting it all caps, making it really bold. It goes all the way up to like heavy. And with this one, I really like the heavy italics. You can do all caps. And let's see if they've got any cool glyphs. I did not check before the show. So, oh, cool. It's got some really good connectors. It's got all what you need for math equations, got dividers. Yeah, no special symbols. That's 0 for 2 this week as far as ones that are, you know, for them too. Evie is trying out to spell Ryan in new ways. Jess from Chick-fil-A Trade says, I don't recognize any other Ryans. Thank you. I appreciate that. And yes, Oliver's saying he likes Urbane very much. Yeah, this one's pretty cool. I'm into it. But they're all cool because they're all equally, and I'm not going to tell you which one I like before we get into it. Our third one and last one of the week is Rama Slab. And this is a slab serif from Ryochi Tsukawa. And it is from Dharma Type. It is an antiqued slab serif typeface inspired by 19th century wood type. And 19th century wood type means the 1800s because you always go back. It has 18 styles. It has a retro charm and nostalgic feel, which is an ideal choice for posters, titles, and any design that demands a bold, impactful presence. I like how loud it is in its little cover image here. It's nice to know that it can be both loud and a little bit quieter. I don't think I would end up using something like this for any body copy. This definitely feels like more impactful, loud, attention-grabbing typefaces like headlines or posters. And it has a thinner weight that goes all the way down to thin, which I think you can also really use if you wanted to scale it up really big. You could really take up a lot of space without having to overwhelm the user or have too much ink. That's always something you have to consider as well, especially if you're scaling your design at all. And then finally, we'll go in and we'll look at the alternates here. There is no alternate for that guy. I thought there was one for that. We're going to go into our glyphs. Oh, yes. We've got this guy. We have their, like, Dharma type logo. Look at how terrifying that is. That's their logo. Hey, little dude. Look at your fat nose. Your grimace face. And your... Is that a hoodie? Does it have a hoodie on? It's a little troll man. They've got diamonds. They've got a cool ampersand. They've got trademark, the number... file new, number 1. Although this is technically file new, number 90. We're getting real close to that 100. What are we going to do for the 100th episode? I don't know. Will we make it to 100 episodes? That's all depends on you guys. If you guys keep on commenting in the chat, if you keep on commenting and chatting in Discord, so the people at Adobe know that we love file new. We do. Oh, I hated that the way I just said that. I sounded like somebody else, and I did not like who I sounded like. All right. So with that, we're going to keep the poll open for a little bit as we hop into some other stuff. But just as an update, in case you guys are wondering where it's landing right now, Urbane is in the lead with 73% of the vote. And we have Haboro in 13% and Rama Slab also in 13%. So... interesting to see where this goes. Last week we had a bunch of people that had a lead and then it ended up flipping around and stuff. Yasina says celebrate with the return of Mickey D's snack wraps. What? Get out of here. We can write snack wraps and I'll show you what it looks like. Good to have you here. Thank you, Evie. Appreciate that. We're going to move on to the next segment of today's show, which we should check the raindrop to see where we are as far as the next segment, because I don't know what's next. Resources. Let's hop into resources. We got some cool stuff for you guys today with lots of different programs for you. So not one size fits all, but a few different things for you. So let's hop into resources. Lots of cool creators this week for resources. Thank you to everybody that I reach out to with cold calls and say, hey, I have a show on Adobe Live. It's called File New. Could I please feature your video? They always are very quick to get back to me, and they always say yes, as long as I get proper credit. I say I wouldn't dream of not giving you credit. So let's first give all the credit in the world to Naughty Juan. Naughty Juan has a... After Effects tutorial that taught me, honestly, a new approach to doing some text animation that doesn't rely so much just on the position keyframes. What I had to end up doing is, because he had music on it, I had to actually end up putting it into Premiere and doing this so that it got rid of the music. So please excuse me that it's taking out of the Instagram experience. But it goes pretty quick. We can watch it through maybe like once, and then after that, then if we need to slow it down or anything, happy to do that and explore it. I want to just make sure that this is going to play audio, and then we'll go.
Here's how to make this Apple-style text animation in 30 seconds. Add your text, go to your text layer, click animate, add opacity and position, set position to 100 and opacity to 0. Go to range selector, then advanced, change characters to words, and shape to ramp up. Set the ease high to -50 and the ease low to 100. Then add a keyframe to the offset from -100 to 100, and boom. If you want to grow your editing potential while also growing your bank account, check out the link in my bio.
So I thought that was a really good call out, specifically because it relies on the offset functionality rather than something that is like so position based. And so all he has to do after he goes in here, and I can slow it down here, he's going to animate position, and from with his range selector, he's going into the advanced section, changing it from characters to words, then going to ramp up, which is giving that animation, going to ease high, which is lowering it, ease low, which is heightening it, and then all he has to do is go to negative 100% and then 100% for it, and it will have this one that kind of goes back and forth. Lindsay and Taylor says spiffy. And yeah, thank you, Evie Johnson, for saying if you're liking this show, if you're liking the episode, give it a thumbs up on YouTube. It helps the algorithm. It helps us out. Helps people explore the show. Also, tell your friends about File New. Tell us how you want to improve it. And thank you again to Naughty Juan, because Naughty Juan is quite the expert here with some After Effects stuff. And it's just a great way to be able to apply at scale without having to worry about individual stuff over and over again. Next up, we have a friend of the show, Dutchley Designs. We've actually had him on Offset before. We've had him on Adobe Live before. And he is doing a really cool breakdown of parametric filters, which is right within Photoshop. And he's making a quick tutorial on how to easily make embroidery effects in Adobe Photoshop. Same sort of thing. It is short form content, so it is going to move real fast. That said, we can always break it down and see what it's about. But let's check this real quick. So he's creating this logo. He's going to filter parametric filters. He's going to embroidery. You can adjust the light angle, the density, and then when you place it other places, it gives you really good stuff. So let's watch it through one more time. It gives you a lot of different opportunities to really adjust and personalize the creation that you have. This is actually only in Photoshop Beta, though. So if you just have the actual general build, you don't have this yet. But it is in the beta, and it makes it very easy to create mock-ups, to create an extra level of interest to your designs that you create. You can also do like randomization of seeds if you don't want it to always look like the same thing over and over again. That way you have variety and doesn't just look like the same kind of like stitches through and through. And yeah, it's just another way, and it does not take long at all. Yeah. Thank you very much to Dutchley Designs for sharing that. And let me know if you guys end up creating any embroidery-like things. And then we have a little like color theory segment here, and this is from a woman named Anuschka Rees. She has this really cool breakdown of the different understanding of color and the way that we discuss color and how it impacts your designs. So we're going to go and check this out. Starting off, it says, how do these two colors differ the most? We have hue family, we have undertone, we have chroma, and we have value. And overview of each of these things is hue is the rainbow coordinates of a color. Undertone is from cool to warm. Chroma is similar to saturation, from soft to clear, and value is from deepest to lightest. So let's look at the answer. And in this first instance, it's actually chroma. They differ the most in chroma, which is, once again, the similar to saturation, from soft to clear. Chroma describes how much of its hue a color contains, literally how full of color it is, similar to saturation. We can think of this in terms of three categories: low chroma, which is soft, medium, and clear. And so think about almost as like something as a pane of glass in front of you between you and the number of saturation. And if it is a little bit more muted, if it doesn't have as much pop and vibrance, saturated color, that's going to be on the lower side of chroma, which would be like a foggier glass. So it's going to be softer. So think of like foggy and soft. Think of, it's kind of getting you further away from that true essence of the color. Whereas if it was a completely clear plane of glass, you'd be able to see right through it, you're not going to be inhibited at all. You're going to have that clear, fully saturated vibe to it. So that's chroma. Next up, we're going to look at these two colors, and we're going to say, how do these two colors differ the most? Hue family, undertone, chroma, or value. This one would be value. Once again, value is from deepest to lightest. So value describes a color's lightness from black to white. But to describe colors, it is helpful to think in terms of 3 categories: deep, medium, and light. Deep would obviously be closer to the black, would be closer to 0000. Light would be closer to the white, which would be FFFF. And having this idea of just a value of, if you ever did that experiment in drawing class where you have to take the pencil and you have to go all the way and go as hard as you can and very slightly bring it up to lighter, that's going to be your value, and that's a value slider. That also can apply to other colors. It's not just black and white. Next one. This is either going to be hue, undertone, chroma, or value. This is hue, and hue is the rainbow coordinates of a color. Hue describes a color's exact wavelength or exact ratio of primary colors. Hue is a circular spectrum with no defined groups, no stops, or starting points. Because it is a spectrum, it's the rainbow, it's the lights, it's how our eyes and the cones and the dots all work with it. For the purpose of describing and differentiating color, we can think of 7 hue families, which is Roy G. Biv: red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, violet, and pink. And yeah, that's how it breaks up, If something's more red, it's more red. If something's more violet, it's thinking of a color wheel, thinking of the HSB sliders, thinking of anything that really works when you're in the Photoshop color picker. And then finally, I believe this is the last one. How do these 2 colors differ the most? This is going to be undertone. Is a function of the color's exact hue. Undertone is primarily a marker for color harmony. By labeling a color as cool, we are saying it will look most harmonious with other cool shades and less harmonious with warm shades. Undertone is a spectrum, but we can think of 4 categories: cool, cool neutral, neutral, and warm. And this is pretty easy. I mean, think of ice and fire. Think of, skin versus like metal. You can have warm metals, you can have cold skin, but the way that you add color to those things is going to then impact how they are felt. And a color's undertone depends on how close it is to the point of the peak warmth on the hue wheel. 2 shades can be the same hue family but have different undertones. So you can have a warm green and a cool green. It's not like all colors are the same warm or cold. Oh wait, we have question 5 out of 6. These last 2 red ones are also undertone. And this one is hue family, just to test you out a little bit. If you enjoyed this tutorial, this was a very good rundown. She obviously put a lot of time and effort into this. She has a really great profile. I don't follow her, but we're going to follow her right now. Make sure you give her a like. Let her know that you saw it on File New. And that is Anuschka Rees, and that's Anuschkarees. And a huge thank you to her for letting us use this on the show. It was very fun and precise and concise piece of information. So shout out to her. You can check out that link is available to get to it on the Raindrop. It's just under her name and Instagram photos and videos. Let's check back on the poll and see how we're doing. It's getting a little bit tighter in the poll. And once again, if you're just tuning in now and you're wondering what the font of the week is, these are the 3 options that we have. We are looking at Haboro, Urbane, and Rama. And right now, Urbane is winning with only 59%, with the 2nd place coming in for Haboro, and 3rd place is Rama Slab, or Slab. I keep saying Slab because that's, fun enough to say. But Bruce says poll is looking good. And Nate, thank you for coming in. Nate Productions, thanks for being here. Peter, also nice to have you in the chat as well. Did you guys know that? I would love to know that actually in the chat of color theory. If you were familiar with hue, undertone, chroma, or value, or if you learned one today. If you learned one today, put in the chat which one you learned. I'd love to know. Because then I feel like I am servicing some sort of the community by providing more education. Because I definitely learned a little bit while I was going through it as well. Nate says, Nate is fine. Way to go, Nate. All right. Next up, we're going to go into hyperlinks. So let's hop into hyperlinks. Hyperlinks is the portion of the show where we like to explore inspiring our websites, different like online toys, you name it. I found this one out through a nice article on It's Nice That, and this is Harry Bennett. It says, Form and Fidget is a digital playground designed purely for joy. With forms, colors, and typography inspired by childhood play, the tool from Noodle offers a digital exhale in the wake of stale swipe and scroll interactivity. It has a nice write-up and talks all about all the different things you can do, but what better than to go ahead and actually hop right into the actual website, and you can find that on the Raindrop. It's just noodleanimation.com. As you scroll into it, it gets you straight there, and you can kind of play with different toys that are on here, and you can kind of explore changing their color by clicking and seeing how it interacts. You can move around different things as if it's like connecting a like telephone operator and see how that impacts. Yeah, it's just like a bunch of little toys that you can experiment with. You can see kind of there's no distinct motive here. You can't win, you can't lose. It's just a way of being able to play, maybe zone out, take a little piece of meditation, and see different ways that you can get. Because like this is so simple, but you can see that already as I'm kind of moving things around, this almost feels like the old cover flow in iTunes, or this feels a little bit more trippy with maybe transitions. This feels as if it's like sequential. And all I'm doing is literally just dragging my mouse around. And all of these have different ways that you can click and have more experience to see where it gets you. And I think these are all just like fun things to remind us that there's a reason why we do this is for fun. And yeah, there's plenty to do here. I don't want to go through all of them because guess what? That'll take out the pleasure for you guys. But lots of interactivity. Very fun, free for all. Noodleanimation.com. Recommend. Bruce is saying the animation at the top is cool. Yes, which I agree. It's very like messes with your mind. Like, is it going forward or is it going backwards? Like, it's what is it? MC Escher with the staircases to see like, oh, which way is it going? Does it make sense? Doesn't, like, because it could easily be going backwards, but then it kind of comes to the forward, which is nice. Penny says, oh man, missed most of the show, but I still made it. Nah, you can still vote on Font of the Week, which is the most important part of the show, right? Let's go ahead and we'll hop into absurd.website, which is a website created to feature their weird and absurd fun experiments that they make online. They recently created one that was add a little lucky cat to your store. They have microtask for meat bags, Operation D-Day, Lingo Prio. These are just a bunch of little toys. Sexy math, which lets make learning math sexy again. And as you do, equations more kind of pops up. And it's just a fun, once again, way of experimenting and having fun little explorations and design. And it's a good way to be able to kind of just like break out of the mold and get inspired by other stuff. So that is absurd.website. And would love to know if you guys end up playing around on it. To Penny's point, I want to make sure we are cognizant of time. So let's go ahead and hop over into our next segment, which is resources. Which, weren't we already in resources, actually? Let's go back to resources. This is coming from the Adobe Express blog. This is 5 social media trends to try right now in June. And this is fun ways that you can use to kind of like level up your social media presence. There are 5 different campaigns. Number 1 is yearbook superlatives. It says channel your high school self and create yearbook superlatives for your products. Put a border around them and use text that mimics the signature yearbook style. This format feels like nostalgic and personality-driven way into more educational posts. Zhuzh up your design with stickers and handwritten notes. I think about these yearbook photos from Heaven by Marc Jacobs often. We have founder movie trailer. Make your founder the main character and tell their story like it's a movie trailer. Narrate the video with clever voiceover. Add some dramatic music, and even add a movie title to drive the format home. We have flyer IRL post. Announce a product or an update with an actual flyer. Grab online attention through a format that's been grabbing our IRL attention for decades. Design it, print it out, hang it up, and take a photo. I found that audiences respond well when brands take the effort of committing to the bit. Fake press conference is really fun. You hold a press conference, not literally, but make your followers feel like they're sitting in an audience of one. Set up a podium, design a backdrop, have camera flashes going off, and announce something big. And finally, the desktop folder carousel, which is using desktop folders to explain information or tease a product. This is perhaps no familiar in format, considering how much we spend time staring at our computers all day, using folders to let people click into more information like Supergoop or tease campaign imagery through small images on a desktop like Glossier. 5 fun approaches, nice and simple. You can make them your own. Would also love ones that you guys also find interesting or that you think work for well. Other ones that you feel are too gimmicky, would love to hear. Penny says, I can't miss being overly opinionated on Font of the Week. Yep, and you know what? You're just in time. Let's see what we have next for you while you're here, Penny. Where did it go? Oh, this is a resource coming from the Premiere Reddit. This is coming from Video Wizard IO, and he made an Twitter post MOGRT for Premiere you can use. That is free. You can access it by going to the raindrop and going into the Reddit one. Basically, it makes it so that it makes create a strong format for you so that you can then have the template that has the text, the characters per line, the typewriter speed, line break, pause, duration. You can say if there's a verification badge on it or not, what the username is, and then kind of just have it pop up so that you can quickly add it to your production or your show or your edit without having to spend too much time copy and pasting and making mock-ups of Twitter or X. I suppose you could also use the same kind of approach with if you wanted to use it with Threads or if you wanted to use Blue Sky or Mastodon. All of these can also be a little bit adjusted, and this is straight for you in a MOGRT that can then be easily scaled, especially if you're having to do a lot of this. Maybe you're doing something a lot in Premiere, but it is something that is resourceful and free and online for you. Thank you very much to Video Wizard _IO for creating that and giving it out to the public. Another resource, speaking of videos, we have is the Vidclue. This is for other people that are also looking for things like we were just talking about with social media content. This is maybe another expandable thing is for video ideas. So it kind of looks like a Pokédex. It has hundreds of different things that you can do. They're all organized into little folders like comedy formats or internet trends. And when you go and you click into it, it'll tell you not only how to do it, but also give you some examples of it. It has things like internet trends where he says you can create videos of visually or audibly pleasing sequences that provide a calming effect. Use ASMR elements or others using visuals to enhance relaxation. But then you can also, scroll all the way down to kaleidoscope. It says kaleidoscope affects mirrors and manipulates, multiplies footage to create symmetrical, intricate patterns, adding a psychedelic or abstract look. Same sort of thing. We're able to see how other people all did it. It's got H&M, Louis Vuitton, you name it. Very cool, and just a way that if you are feeling, writer's block for video, then you have this. Kendall's saying, I needed that yesterday. Well, maybe if I put it in the Discord, that could be a thing. If you're not already part of the Discord, make sure you hop on the Discord. It is Adobe Live's Discord, and there is a file new section where I like to post little links as I go throughout the week, and some of them make them onto the show, and others do not. Let's hop into rebrand with a little bit more time that we have. So Microsoft Security, they did a colorful rebrand. That creative block, Nathalie Fear, says it is a breath of fresh air. Kodo takes a human approach to digital protection branding. Traditionally, when it comes to branding and branding security and like virus protection software, like everyone always does very defensive. They do like shields and swords and other imagery that looks a lot like what you would expect from security software. Microsoft Security is doing this really cool chromatic, bright, saturated kind of like scanning that shows as if like more so than maybe a defense mechanism. It's more of like they're able to see and protect it because they're scanning it, and it really resonates well across the whole brand. It makes some really cool motion graphics. It makes really cool visuals, even if it's in a standardized like UI UX where you can see it and you can feel kind of like a equal understanding of the brand across all verticals. They also have these really cool 3D animations where it's like scanning into an actual computer and showing the insides of it and adding that extra color. Very strong, very cool, and also just like a new way to approach branding for something that traditionally has only one way over and over again with swords and shields. And also I like how they have gradients, but it's not just like a generic Instagram gradient. It is this own new kind of like scanning weird heat map-esque X-ray version of a thing. What else do we have? We have... this is probably a good read for you guys. I'm not sure if we're going to go through all of it, but Creative Block also has the history of the Audi logo from script font to mergers and rings. You see the Audi logo now, and it's obviously very iconic and understandable, but they've had ones all the way back to before they had the rings, where they had triangle and this like standing little motif. They actually got rid of the rings at one point. They had a script font, and it not only shows you these chronologically in the article, but it also breaks it down how each one happened and where they did. Then we have 5 things I've learned about sonic branding. These are all Creative Block. They just had a really good week. And this is talking about the auditory logo that we have been talking about lately. Like McDonald's, bum, bum, bum. That's Intel. Intel's bum, 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 bum. McDonald's, is like ba-da-ba-ba-ba. There are those things that you can hear, and it's even becoming even more because as we have digital formats and digital things, there is like TikTok's ending noise, which is obviously very important that people recognize. And they said they had 5 takeaways. The 5 takeaways that they had was that there's a great opportunity, that there's really strong attribution to it. I know that also there was like the Home Depot sound. Oh, look, it's right there. Home Depot also had like a sound and music that they had that then turned into a trend, but people were able to then not appropriate. I guess it could be appropriate, but they could also use it on their own content. They don't have to be 5 notes. There's State Farm, there's a bunch of things that have. It doesn't even have to be musical. In this case, they had this burger, and it was all just like crunching and breathing and fireworks, and like it can all be things that like you can hear and have an auditory experience, and then associate that auditory experience with a brand or any form of content. Kind of to double down on that, it doesn't have to be in a major key. It can be very avant-garde. It can be something. It can just be sound, and it's gaining a lot of traction. It is, and more brands are understanding it, and it's one of those invisible arts that once you do notice it, it is already being immensely successful, because for most parts, you're not even going to notice it when it's happening. But that was a great write-up. Has a whole read through. You can check that out. But we only have a few minutes left, so let's switch over to Spotlight. For our Spotlight, I wanted to touch on this Fast Company article that says design can make you feel things. For this one, it has a paywall behind it, but I am a subscriber, so I have like a share link. It says that I have up to 10 shares. I don't know if that's per link, so I don't know if only one of you reads it, if that counts or not, but that's the one that's in the raindrop, so you should be able to read the whole article. It's a very fun read. It actually interviews Lise Martel, and she is part of the CMF, which is the color, material, and finishing expert for different automotive brands, and talks about how the experience that we have with color is very different with shape, which is different with material, and how they all have to kind of work together. She's talking in this case about like self-driving cars, and how, if you have something that's too cold, people may not trust it as much, but if you have something that's too organic, people might not trust it too much. How there are different understandings of colors for different nationalities, when there's like the kind of rose gold is understood in Asia to have luxury and familiarity that might read as kind of like gender norm feminine on Western societies. It talks about the importance and use of circular design, which is reusing materials, recycling, having things last for a really long time, then breaking them down and being able to repair with other things else. How do you incorporate that with design? How do you incorporate that with materials? And it's a really fun article. It takes about like 15 minutes to read or so, but it is doing work. And it's interesting to also hear that there are people really focusing on what is doing what in our brains. And I think they call it like neuroaesthetics or something. And it's all talking about our experience with designs and how that feels. Then we have what makes an editor irreplaceable also on the Premiere side of subreddit. And this is just an open question about what makes an editor irreplaceable. The top one says, in my 10 years experience, I noticed the following: reliability, dependable, punctual, ability to listen and communicate well, stick to deadlines, under promise, over deliver, flexible. Notice that they all have little to do with actual editing, but rather being a person they want to work with on a long-term basis. Very true. Second top answer, being a cool person to work with. And the third says, obviously up-to-date skills, good rig, good workflow, but really building relationship with clients is key above all. Aim to make yourself the go-to editor by understanding the client's brand, structure, people, and values, which we talked a lot about this a lot, but basically time and time again, like so much of the creative field is just being easy to work with because so many people are not easy to work with. Also, hi, Nate. That this is something that, like, if you want to keep jobs, make sure you check out being reliable and yourself. And you also understand the brand, and you just give it the extra time. Something to listen to on the Adobe Design blog. There is Design Systems podcast, Scaling Spectrum, Adobe's design system. They have a conversation with Garth Braithwaite on building tools, bridging disciplines, and deepening impact. You can check that out on the Adobe Design blog. Let's go over this next week. We can also go over this. Yeah, we can go over that next week as well. Yeah, we'll save the rest. They're linked in the raindrop right now, but we're running out of time. So let's just declare a font of the week winner real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and end this poll, and thank everybody for voting. That was quite the jump around, but actually the winner goes to Urbane. Congrats to Urbane. Urbane won with 61% of the votes. You had Haboro with 26% and Rama Slab with only 11%. So you guys really don't like the slab serifs. I feel like that's kind of a reoccurring thing. But props off to Urbane. Fun little sans serif. Thank you everyone for voting. And the next up is Office Hours with Andrew Hockrottle and Nick Longo. It's a part 2 of the series from last week. So make sure you guys check them out. As always, like I said, please hop into that Discord. Hit me up on both Instagram, I'm Ryan Selvy, or on Blue Sky, I'm ryanselvy.com. And I hope to see you all soon. Thank you, Wade, for being a great moderator. Thank you to Bree and Bruce, Oliver, Nate, Kendall, Alyssa, Penny, Evie, you name it. Thank you guys all for being here. Thanks for tuning in. And I will talk to you real soon. Thanks for watching.